glad you're here. This is the audio version of the book Peak, A Resource for Recovery, authored by Faye Avis. Chapter 5, After the Fire. It was a cold January night in western New York. I parked my car along the side of the road and walked the rest of the distance across a thin layer of snow crunching beneath my boots. In the bright yellow light of the house burning down, I could make out the figure standing in front of me. Her name was Louise, and it was her house that was burning down. "We built that house with our own hands," she said, pushing out the words. 30 years of life, gone. Parental estrangement is the relational equivalent of a house fire. All the long-term investments into the life of a child, from the changing of diapers, to the financial expenditures for food and shelter, to the bandaging of skinned knees, to the attendance at middle school band concerts, all the effects of these seem to be vaporized by the estrangement. In contrast to a house fire, you still have the photographs and objects, but these reminders of the past have been transformed from sources of comfort to painful triggers. In the last chapter, we explored how shunning makes parental estrangement painful, but it is not the only source of pain. There is also the burning down of meaning. This chapter will look at how that impacts us. The responsibility of parenting. Parents bring children into the world, and by doing so, bear responsibility for meeting their physical and developmental needs. They are joined in this effort by other elements of the community, such as extended families, friends, schools, faith communities, and neighborhood organizations. Over a 30-year period of time, they, ideally, nurture their children from absolute helplessness into adults who are able to function independently in society. One of the reasons that parents make this investment is that it gives their lives a sense of purpose or meaning. In a study conducted by Groudon and Jose, 249 adults were asked to list the 3 things that you consider most meaningful in your present life. Their responses are listed in the table, Sources of Meaning. In looking at the table, Sources of Meaning, the concepts that are listed as sources of meaning are family, interpersonal relations, personal growth, work, leisure and free time, health, spirituality and religion, community and society, standard of living, life in general, and education. The scale goes from 0 to 40. Education ranks lowest at about 1, and family ranks highest at 40. The rest all fall somewhere in between. But the second one, interpersonal relations, falls at 15. So there is a huge disparity, 25 points, between family and interpersonal relations, making family number 1 by a long shot. Note that family is listed as the most important source of meaning. It is named twice as often as interpersonal relations, 3 times more frequently than personal growth or work, and 5 times more frequently than spirituality and religion. During the formative years of parenting, this large dose of meaning is required to sustain the significant and often sacrificial commitment to the task of raising children. It also reinforces the primary drive of persons in the middle years, the motivation to generate. Children, careers, businesses, houses, prestige, resumes, and so forth. This works well in this stage. The need of parents to generate matches the needs of children to consume as they grow. The development of older adults. However, adults continue to develop long after they have finished the primary tasks of parenting, even into old age. A psychologist named Erik Erikson noted that as adults enter their 60s, they begin to reflect on their lives. As they look back, some feel content and fulfilled, for they believe that they have led a significant life and contributed substantially to their environment. However, Some feel a sense of despair, for they see more of their failures, and these people may experience fear of death, as they are still not done with searching for their life's meaning. This is the stage when individuals would ask, what was the point of life? During this stage, the thought that any major endeavor of life was pointless or meaningless triggers emotions that are extremely painful. One major investment for many people is the time and energy they have spent in a job or career. The play Death of a Salesman dramatizes the struggle of a man to come to grips with the limitations and failures of his vocation. During this later stage of life, the individual desires to feel a sense of achievement in their work and that he or she has made a meaningful contribution to the world. Parenting and the meaning of life. Few human endeavors require a greater investment than that of parenting a child into adulthood. From a financial standpoint alone, the investment is significant, about $250,000 to age 17. Parents also invest thousands of hours in time and emotional energy to educate, support, and advocate for their children. The goal of parenting is not to establish the parent as an endless, inexhaustible supply of resources for children with endless, bottomless needs, but to develop children into adults who can find their own place in society, build productive lives, and make contributions to the larger world. Ideally, as parents are entering their 60s and into a stage of life where they are reflecting on the meaning of their lives, their adult children are simultaneously reaching a point where they can become a significant source of affirmation, focused on the value of all the investments the parent made in their development. In the words of Proverbs 31:28, her children rise up and call her happy. This contributes to a sense of fulfillment, peace of mind, and well-being. It enables the parent to face death with serenity. Society gives a nod to the importance of this stage of life, at least informally, through the institution of special occasions like Mother's Day and Father's Day, and even parental birthdays. Nonetheless, most adult children are unaware of the emotional significance of this stage of life for a parent, which rivals that of adolescence in its significance. In the case of parental estrangement, holidays and celebrations actually become occasions of increased pain as they pass by without acknowledgement. In spite of the long-term emotional consequences of such omissions, trying to change the behavior of adult children by telling them how much hurt they are causing is not a productive approach. It is experienced as nagging and drives estranged adult children further away. In the case of those estranged parents, adult children are either unable or unwilling to make this contribution to the parent's developmental need. Whether this is due to real or perceived failures on the part of the parent or issues within the lives of the adult children is irrelevant. The failure of the estranged parent to find meaning in their investment in the life of their adult child threatens their ability to view their life as something that mattered. Estranged parents may think or say things like, "All that effort I put into helping him through school, and now he won't even talk to me. I put a roof over their heads and food on the table. It apparently means nothing. I was there for them in their toughest times, and it didn't matter. I feel so worthless. What's wrong with me?" The trauma of this unmet developmental need is deep and profound. While people are much less aware of the emotional consequences of an estrangement from their children as a signal that their life did not matter, it is every bit as consequential as deprivations at other stages of life. Most people are aware of the damage done to the psyche of a teenager who is bullied and shunned by peers at the very stage of life when peer relationships are critical. Most are also aware of the trauma experienced by couples who want children but discover they are unable to conceive or bear them at the very stage of life when generated is critical. The pain experienced by estranged parents who are deprived of contact with their adult children or grandchildren, and who interpret that absence as a deprivation of meaning in their lives, is equally traumatic. It is the fire that feels like it is burning down the past. Recovering from a deprivation of meaning. How do estranged parents address this deprivation of meaning? First, as with shunning, It is important to realize that the pain you are experiencing is the result of a significant emotional trauma from which you need to recover. You have been through the psychological equivalent of a car crash. Left untreated, the scars can become permanent, resulting in despair, disdain, or cynicism. Second, shifting responsibility to your estranged adult child is not an effective avenue toward recovery. Reminding them of everything you have done for them will not work. Neither will engaging in a process of assigning blame. This only serves to delay your taking responsibility for your own recovery. Third, the fact that your adult children do not acknowledge your contribution to their lives does not negate the fact that you have. The adult children of estranged parents can be highly functioning adults in significant roles and making valuable contributions to society. Someone has said that when you see a turtle sitting atop of a fence post, you know it didn't get there by itself. Fourth, you may not be able to do this alone. You will need other people who can help you realize the significance of your life. It will be important for you to share your thoughts with them, but also to open your heart and mind to their positive input. Fifth, it is important to realize that children are only one source of meaning as you reflect on your past. Other sources of meaning include careers, volunteer activities, service projects, the maintenance of other significant non-family relationships, and participation in a faith community. Sometimes we can find meaning in our past by listing all the lessons we have learned, even those learned through mistakes we have made. Have you been a good friend to someone? Have you helped someone grow to become a more capable person through coaching, mentoring, or just setting a positive example? One of the activities that can be beneficial for recovering a sense of meaning is a structured life review. A life review is a comprehensive reflection on the entirety of one's life. I will be saying more about this in Chapter 10. Finally, this recovery process will take time. If you stay with it, you will gradually begin to feel more positive about your life. Slowly, the pain of estrangement will release its grip. However, it is important to be clear. Time alone will not heal this wound. You must take seriously your own responsibility for the recovery process. A number of years ago, I checked off an item from my bucket list: skydiving. Unfortunately, I did not break my chute properly at the last second. I ended up with a broken ankle requiring surgery and the implant of a plate on one side and a pin on the other. The next Sunday, a nurse chased me down after church, which was not hard given the fact I was on crutches. "I have one thing to say to you," she said sternly, looking me straight in the eyes. "Don't think time will take care of this. Do your physical therapy. I don't want to hear you tell me how hard it is. Do your therapy, and you'll be fine." This was how she showed her love. I did my physical therapy. It was hard. I am fine. I run 3 miles on that ankle every day without pain. Think of me as a kind of spiritual nurse. This is how I am showing you love. Don't think the passage of time will take care of this. Do the work outlined in this book. I don't want you to tell me how hard it is. Do the work, and you'll be fine. Some say you never get over parental estrangement. If by that they mean that you are sentenced to a lifetime of the debilitating effects of parental estrangement, emotional, physical, medical, and relational, I vigorously reject the statement. If by that they mean that you will always have access to a sense of loss and a bit of sadness that accompanies it, sure. As I wrote in the preface, a little sadness is the tear of wax running down the candles of love and lets us know that the wick is still lit. You will never be able to eliminate all the sadness in your heart without snuffing out all the love as well. What can you reasonably expect? The recovery begins when you risk moving out of isolation. You will discover that parental estrangement is not rare. By gradually releasing the burden of unexpressed grief, you join others in the journey towards gentleness, humor, love, and respect. The process allows you to begin to see yourself as the biological instrument of your children's existence. Their true parent is a spiritual source that some of us choose to call God. Our spiritual source is the wellspring of healing and vital living, both for us as parents and for our adult children. This is the action and work that heals. You use the concepts of this book, you use your conversations, you talk with others. You share your experience, strength, and hope with each other. You learn to restructure your thinking one day at a time. When you release your adult children from responsibility for your actions, you become free to make decisions as actors, not as reactors. Your progress from hurting to healing to helping. You return to a sense of wholeness. We all make mistakes that affect other people, including our adult children. It is always important to be willing to examine ourselves. However, parental estrangement affects even the best of parents. Through this work, you will be reminded that parental estrangement is not a reliable measure of your love, your mental health, or your competency. By doing this work over the next several weeks, you will begin to see parental estrangement for what it is, a mystery that we can only partially explain, a choice by adult children who we cannot change, a problem that can totally deplete us and leave the situation no better. You will learn to keep your focus on yourself in the here and now. You will take responsibility for your own life and address your own needs for relationships. Questions for reflection and discussion. In your experience, how is parental estrangement like a house fire? List the top 5 sources of meaning in your life that make your life worthwhile. What do you do if one of those sources of meaning is weakened? Review the list under the sentence heading above. What can you reasonably expect? Is that enough to keep you going? If you are using this book in a group discussion, what did you gain from hearing others speak and from speaking? This is the end of Chapter 5. Thank you for joining us again. If you would like to help others, please click the like icon. Feel free to share this with somebody else. You can also subscribe and click the notification bell below. That way you will be notified whenever there is a new video that's uploaded. And please feel free to comment below the screen on anything in this chapter or any other parts of the book. Thank you.